Hey y'all, let's get into the gene key of the week, of the moment. So from August 22nd, 2024 to Wednesday, August 28th, 2024, we will be in gene key 59, which I'm a big fan of. Um, Potentially because it's a big personal key for me. It is in my purpose sphere in Gene Keys, and it is in my unconscious earth um, on the sixth line, 59.6. So I am really enjoying feeling and milking out every day of this key because we're moving line by line up to the sixth expression, and the sixth line is the highest expression. Well, the final expression, I should say. And then we move into the next key. So the 59, I've got some notes here. I've got the Gene Key Bible here, and I have the Dare to be Divine. It's the book Richard wrote on the siddhis only, sort of fleshing out on the siddhis on a deeper level. And it's very deeply beautiful as well. So we're gonna cover some interesting dynamic energy on the 59. And again, I've got some things highlighted, and let's dive in. So from the 59, we are accessing the shadow of dishonesty, the gift of intimacy, and the city of transparency. This key, if you want to think about it in human design terms, comes off of the sacral, which is a huge engine center in human design. And when it is defined, it means you are either a generator or a manifesting generator. You are an energy being. Powerful. This key is a part of the Ring of Union, which we will definitely speak more about as we go further. And let's start with the shadow of dishonesty. So, at its base level, the 59th gene key is about sex and reproduction. It represents the drive in human beings to multiply. As such, it is impersonal force. It is an impersonal force that selects our potential mates for us. The reasons for being drawn to a particular person are complex, but essentially, we can be sure that our genes have their survival in mind. Most relationships are therefore not easy by design. There are also other reasons why human beings are drawn to each other that are rooted in a more spiritual domain. Karmic reasons, for example. However, from a universal point of view, whatever forces draw us together at a cosmic level must operate through our genetics and our biology. So, all these different perspectives ultimately come together. Fascinating concept there. We'll flesh it out a little bit more here. Behind the 59 shadow hides a deep distrust of others and a core fear of relationships. This is the shadow that makes the world a lonely place because, despite the number of people that are around us most of the time, we rarely communicate with each other in real depth. Yes, I have often said, you know, you're in the wrong relationship when you feel lonelier with them being in the room with you than you do on your own. And if you've been there, you know exactly what I fucking mean. It is haunting. In order to fully grasp the wonderful depth within the 59 shadow, one needs to look at human evolution in a wider perspective. So, this is a big idea picture. This is a very Aquarian age concept. So, I'm going to ask you to sort of zoom now out of your relationships, out of your personal dynamics, and see the world as a whole to really hold this concept. The fear that keeps human beings from realizing their common genetic ancestry has led to the phenomena of isolated tribal gene pools all across our planet. If we were not afraid of each other, we would have interbred immediately wherever we migrated. If we were not afraid of each other, we would have. I'm sorry, I just reread the same line. Maybe you needed it for emphasis. There would be no social, political, or geographical boundaries, no countries, borders, or wars. But, and it's a big but, there would also be no genetic differentiation, no art, religion, or cultural color. In short, we would have become a single anthropomorphous mass, and probably we would have not survived. Everything in evolution serves its purpose and has its time. One phase gives way to the next. The world we see around us today is a direct product of our genetic fear of each other, with all its beauty and its horror. The time has come for the next shift. With the mutation of the 55th gene key underway, which is the programming partner of the 59, as you know, programming partners hold hands with each other and are in a very close conversation with each other. The 59 shadow is being deeply undermined. In many ways, our fear of each other may seem to be on the increase as it is brought to the surface for all to see. This is a beautiful concept, too. Often, when we see the fall of something, before it falls, we see a spike in the exact energy that will soon fall. And we've seen this too with recent energy around Pluto and Capricorn, having been there for 200 plus years, now shifting into Aquarius. And we're seeing the last final retrograde in 2024, and then we will see the full on shift in Aquarius. And we are very much so seeing shadowy Pluto and Capricorn energy rising and peaking and summiting as the fall is on the horizon. Fear will gradually be bred out of human beings. Without our fear of each other, the world will change dramatically. The greatest change of all will be to our human sexuality. Very interesting. The 59 shadow is rooted in our inability to come clean with each other. It is the source of all hidden agendas. The answer to the question of what to do lies in the contemplation of the 59 shadow. Since the world is evolving naturally in a particular direction, your behavior will either flow in the direction or oppose that direction. If you want to hitch a ride on the currents of evolution, you will do well to align your agenda with its program. You must begin to look into your fears and come clean with your hidden agendas. This is a huge conversation around the 59. And again, because we are in the transit, look at your actions this week and where underneath it all is there some sort of hidden agenda, and how can you at least just see it? One of the main reasons for the writing of this book is to encourage more of us to look into the eyes of our inner demons and coax out these ancient fears. It is time to take out the genetic laundry. Wherever you are dishonest with yourself, in your relationships or your work, there you must look with eyes open and unflinching. You must begin to work with the higher frequencies of this 59 shadow to unlock its gift. One thing is sure, if you move against evolution at a time such as this, you will meet an opposing force whose power is incomprehensible. Such a power will ultimately destroy you, and it is destroying all such behavior rooted in selfishness and separation. Also, another great thing to contemplate: where are you selfish? Where are you in separation? That similar to like a Saturn return, the quicker you can embrace that behavior, the easier it will be to navigate and move through. Otherwise, like with a Saturn return, the energy comes in and shakes the shit out of you, just straight up. Okay, so repressive nature of the shadow of dishonesty is excluded. The repressed nature of the 59 shadow is about feeling excluded. Feeling excluded is a classic example of the victim state, as it blames others rather than taking responsibility for its own feelings. These people unconsciously exclude themselves out of a deep-seated fear of losing control. When you open your doors to others, then you always lose control. Such people actually manage to draw negative attention through their self-exclusion. Furthermore, when you are excluded, you can maintain your defense mechanisms and keep them intact even though you feel bad. The feeling of being excluded can actually become an addictive state. It gives you the illusion that you are still in control of your emotional environment. However, the moment you do choose to include yourself, the entire illusion is instantly shattered. Now, the reactive nature, intrusive. The other side of the 59 shadow is based on anger. The fear of being excluded is not repressed here, but it is expressed reactively as anger, which then becomes intrusive. These people try to push themselves in the door, physically and emotionally, invading other people's auras. When they meet rejection, they become outraged and exclude themselves. It is the same strategy as the repressive nature in that it tries to maintain control of the emotional environment through blaming others. The difference here is that the intrusive nature experiences rejection actively, whereas the repressed nature experiences it passively. Intrusive people can be addicted to unhealthy emotional relationships so long as they find a willing victim to play their game. Such people will try to dominate their relationships in order to avoid rejection, which means that they can never stay with anyone who is honest enough to challenge them. Okay. Moving to the gift of intimacy. Love this word. Into me, see. The 59 Shadow has been playing havoc with human attempts at monogamy for a long time. Indeed, women and men react very differently to the fear inherent in this gene key. The traditional male reaction is to try to escape being trapped by a single woman. This fear of being trapped is a polarity of the 55th Shadow. The female reaction is to try to hold on to the male aura because of its promise of protection for offspring. Women intuitively understand the male's urge to disperse his genes wildly. At the shadow frequency, a woman reacts by trying to keep the male as close as possible, thereby creating the opposite reaction in the male, that of wanting to escape and be free. Thus goes the age old battle of the sexes. Hidden within the 59 shadow, however, is a deep evolutionary urge to transcend the lower frequencies and give birth to higher form. Perhaps the deepest archetypal symbol of sexuality is the figure of the serpent or dragon, and within this alchemical symbol hides the key to the 59th gift. Serpent or dragon energy represents the evolutionary urge to transform oneself, reflected in the serpent's shedding of its own skin. Love a serpent, as y'all know. I have two snake tattoos. Um, Read another nugget here. This sexual power in humans has always held the promise of higher states of consciousness, and we have devised many techniques and systems that attempt to utilize this. Kundalini being one of them, Tantra, breathwork. These meet with varying and limited success because although the evolutionary urge to transform is there within us, the timing of this mechanism cannot be forced. Ugh. Nature always flowers in certain individuals early, just as certain flowers in the garden bloom first. However, to try and force our sexual flowering before it's ready can be dangerous. It will come in its own time. Nature has its own timing. Intimacy presupposes honesty and acceptance of the shadow state. This means that the fears between the sexes must be acknowledged, understood, and allowed to exist. This allowing then acts like a valve that opens up the full power of sexual force, a shattering power that shakes the very fabric of your being. This is why it frightens us so, because it is such a raw power. What we don't usually realize is that the power of our sexuality, if embraced fully, will open us up to higher states. Let me see if there's anything else in the gift. I think we'll go to the city. Um, yeah, let's go to the city of transparency. Um, so, the state of transparency carries no agenda or purpose. It simply acts as the conduit for awareness. Thus, the only purpose of the 59th gene key is to break down all barriers that stand in the way of union. When this has happened, this aspect of our genetics will no longer be needed. The 59th gene key is the master key in the genetic codon ring group known as the ring of union. This I love, especially if you are a gene key nerd, lean into this conversation. Understanding the ring of union is so crucial for relationships. This really rocked my world when I read it. These four gene keys, the 4th, 7th, 29th, and 59th, have long governed human relationship patterns and their dysfunction on our planet. Their ultimate role is to bring the human family into realization of its state of higher union. The sequence leading to transparency begins with the process of forgiveness, triggered by the 4th key. Once you have forgiven yourself, using your relationships as a mirror, you will discover your true aura of virtue, the 7th gene key. Once you have found your inner virtue, you begin to pour yourself out into others, recognizing the same divine source in every person you meet. It is the devotion, the 29th gene key, that is the true doorway to transparency. Devotion empties you out, bringing you into a purified, higher state of awareness where you no longer relate to people or objects as other. Transparency brings everything inside your own being, eliminating the very concept of inside and outside. It is the greatest leveler within the whole sphere of life. I really love this is one 50 the 59th. I really love just going straight into the siddhi. I think the gift is a very obvious bridge, intimacy, and it's necessary to speak about. But this siddhi just I have so many nuggets highlighted and underlined here. It's just so damn beautiful. The ultimate agenda is evolution, the idea that there is still some scope for growth. Although the form of our world will continue to evolve, the consciousness out of which it emerges can never and has never evolved. Only awareness can evolve, and it is evolving very quickly through the transformations and mutations coming through this gift and siddhi. However, when awareness has reached its ultimate expression, it becomes a clear mirror for consciousness. And this is what transparency is. It reflects life without any additional comment. It is a state we humans have always dreamed of attaining, the ability to look upon the world without judgment. I love this. There is an ancient Mayan prophecy that speaks of the return of Quetzalcoatl, a being symbolized by the feathered serpent. The ancient calendars have long connected this event to coincide with the year 2012, at which time, according to the Maya, time will cease to exist. Such prophecies are perhaps best not taken literally, but seen as alchemical markers emerging from the collective unconscious. The journey of the consciousness through the 59 gene key is symbolized aptly by the figure of Quetzalcoatl. The feathered serpent is the same as the symbol of the dragon. It represents the harmonization of the lower nature, the serpent, with the higher nature, the bird. This is indeed the new epoch we are now entering. God is hidden within our genes. But until we raise our frequency, we cannot experience God. We therefore must learn how to be transparent, both with ourselves and in interaction with others. Our first step is to let our barriers down and look deeply into our fears, even our deepest genetic fears, such as the fear of losing our loved ones. Act as subtle barriers that keep us from realizing that our genes are not exclusive but inclusive. Every man and woman is our genetic brother and sister, and no single individual, family, tribe, or nation is an island. We are all one genetic tribe moving through a huge and transformative period in history, the end result of which will be the realization of our unity. This is the final key in the Ring of Union. It brings a big energy to it. We've been moving through the transits of the 7th, 4th, 29th, and now 59th key. So you can reflect on the past couple weeks and take a look at your relationships, what's been happening, and maybe look at this season annually. Do you experience evolution and growth in your relationships or challenge and potentially conflict in your relationships around this time of the year? So finally, we will finish with this contemplation. I was checking the time. This is feels like a long key, but it hasn't been as long as I thought. Okay, dare to be transparent. This 59th city is also in the Ring of Union. The new human, Homo Sanctus, will become transparent in so many ways. To come into union, we must drop all our secrets. No agenda can remain hidden within us. Can you imagine that? We have all heard stories about people coming before the illumined ones. The master inhabitants the master inhabits a world of transparency. He or she sees everything inside you. There is nothing you can hide. Your shame, your hidden mistakes and perversions, your negativity and fears. The master knows it all. Can you imagine standing in that presence? Can you hold the gaze of such a being? When you can receive and return that gaze, you are becoming transparent. That presence is you. That transparency is how you need to be with yourself. To be open and transparent, to have a clean heart, I love that, clean heart, is to drop all the secrets we generally try to hide. This 59 is the programming partner of the 55, where the great change is breaking through. Here in this pair of gene keys, a huge force of change will continue to ripple through human DNA for the next few centuries. Barriers will at first increase, then break down and dissolve in our communities, in our borders, in between our races and our ideologies. Union is coming. In business, this trend is already powerful. It's not so easy to hide anymore. Tyrants can no longer hide their millions. Corruption is running out of places to hide. Power is falling away from the despots, from the selfish, from those who cling to it in desperation. Power is now moving towards the transparent, towards the humble, towards the empty. Can you imagine our world in 100, 1,000 years? It is going to look very different. We don't see it now. It seems that everything is in the decline, but the opposite is true. Only the shadow is in decline. The higher consciousness catalyzing this change is forcing us to search for meaning, for higher purpose. This union was always going to happen. It's making us dare to be that open, dare to merge with all beings, dare to die into the collective, dare to be transparent, dare to care. 59, baby, the 59. My goodness, is it beautiful? Enjoy this key till August 28th and beyond. You can always check out your own hologenetic profile. I've also been doing gene key sessions and having a blast with it. So if you're interested in something like that, holler at your girl. Let me help you. I'll walk with you. I'm already walking with you. I love you so much, and I will see you tomorrow.